I know that pronouns is a huge issue for me. And I don't want to speak for other people transitioning, but it's probably a fair statement to say that it's kind of a big deal for them too. And an email that I got basically was saying that they didn't understand. I'm going to find it. Why it was such a big deal. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I got this email on the 23rd. And through a thoughtful process, trying to figure out why is it such a big deal. But I know that it is. It's not questioning whether it is or it isn't. I know that it is. But trying to find the words to convey to other people why it's such a big deal for me. And again, I don't know if this is going to be true or accurate for other people or not. I'm kind of messing with the music because I need music on. So for me, I have a therapist and I've been seeing her for about 3 years, and what she's taught me is that to do inner child work, and I believe that we all have inner children, and those inner children can be the playful part of us. They can be the part of us that's where some of our development got interrupted, and maybe where some trauma occurred, or for a lot of us, maybe it's that moment that we recognized or realized that our physical gender didn't match our gender identity. So there's all sorts of different ages and different versions and understandings of an inner child. But for me, how I come to understand my inner child is that I grew up with being a girl, being a physical girl, and my inner child, and the way that I understood myself, was a little boy, and that little boy never got embraced. That little boy never got held. He never got taken care of. He was never seen. He never got to form an identity. And so this whole last week, trying to figure out how to convey the importance of pronouns and being referred to as appropriate pronouns, whether that you're female identified or male identified. And I remember reading a book by Dylan Kosela, and it's called Both Sides Now. And he also talks about pronouns frequently. And so I'm just going to read this part of his book where he is expressing his frustration about going somewhere and being referred to as a lady and she. And had I thought about this, I would have found it sooner. But so he's talking about being in bed after a day where he got referred to as a lady or she by somebody who knew that he was trans, and he'd been on testosterone for a while, and so his body had started to masculinize, and it really fucked him up. And so I'm just going to read this to you. It says, and he's talking to himself, and he said, "I heard myself whisper, 'I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.' As I continued to repeat these words, tears streamed down my face, spilling out onto the sheets. The tears I cried that night came from a well so deep and so vast that its very discovery brought forth shades of sadness and grief. For in finding my own compassion, I had to face the realization that I had spent much of my life being unloving and unkind to myself in a most profound and fundamental way. Every time I listened to those outside voices that said, I should let this go, I should accept what I've been given, that this does not matter, I was turning away from that sweet, precious boy. Every time I cried to tell myself it's just a pronoun. Don't get so upset, don't be so angry. I was telling that little boy to shut up, that he did not matter. Even something as subtle as trying to take my mind off things or cheer myself up had been, in actuality, a turning away. Because in each and every moment of frustration, of pain, of sadness, of rage, and of hurt, that little boy had been trying to reach to me." This sums it up really well for me, and I don't know if this is going to be helpful to other people, but think back to when you were a child and when you had a need, and that need was met, and then think of a time that you had a need as a child and that need was not met. And if you can, think about the difference of those two feelings. And if you consistently had a need that wasn't met, then there's a possibility that that's an issue that you deal with or have dealt with in your adult life, an unmet need from a childhood. And for a lot of trans people, and definitely for me, being seen and witnessed and understood as a male is a need that has never was never met as a child, and now as an adult I'm trying to get that need met. And so when someone knows that I'm transitioning and someone knows that I have a male identity and they say to me she or her, intentional or unintentional, what happens is it jolts me back to remembering in a very visceral sort of a way, not being seen. And inner child, if we think of a physical child, a physical being, and what that's like for them when they don't have a need met, or they're ignored, or they're unseen, we have compassion, we have empathy for that child. And I'm going to offer that when understanding people that are transgender or people that are transsexual and their need to have appropriate pronouns, instead of looking at us and thinking of us as, you know, a 31-year-old who needs to just deal with the fact that someone accidentally referred to me as she, that's physically what it looks like on the outside, but what's underneath that and what is beyond that is actually what's much more important, and that is a lifelong process of not being seen or being witnessed. And so I don't know how else to explain it, but why it's so important and why it's so hard and so painful and frustrating and sometimes infuriating that someone didn't see me as I see myself. I don't know if I'm doing a good job here or not. I don't know how to explain it other than how Dylan explained it, that, you know, there's that child, there's that little boy who has just been longing to be seen. I have a little boy within me that has been longing to be witnessed and be seen and be understood. And now as an adult, it is my job to do that. I finally have the opportunity and the means and the capacity to provide that for myself in a way that was never provided before. And that's not to say that my parents or the people that love me didn't give me what they need. They gave me what they saw. They gave me what they understood. And so it's not a blaming sort of a thing. It's just I just didn't get what I needed. And so now at 31, I'm trying to get that. So I don't know. I don't know if that helps or if that explains anything. And, you know, I made a comment in one of my past videos about my support group and how I got she'd and ladies, and I was like, gosh, you know, time warp. Did I tell these people or not? You know, there's days where it's like, I feel like I can handle it. I feel like, you know, my capacity of resiliency is high enough that I can handle it. And then there's days where I feel like I don't have anything left inside of me, and that I need to be seen, I need to be witnessed, and I need to be acknowledged as I am. And I think as humans we have that need, but not until we start fucking around with gender and people's concepts and ideas of gender does that really get called into question in such a profound sort of a way. Most other things we tend to automatically acknowledge or recognize. I know there's exceptions to that, but for the most part. So that's where we're at. I don't know if I've done a good job. I'm thinking of actually disabling comments on this video because I don't want to defend my need or anybody else's need to be seen and understood and referred to with the appropriate pronouns. And there's a difference between someone who slips and somebody who intentionally does it. But what matters is that whether it's intentional or it's a slip, that doesn't change how it affects me. It still is a process of not being seen and a sense of invisibility. And so I'll probably leave the comments open, but I guess what I'm going to ask is that be thoughtful in your comments. I've gotten a lot of emails and comments, and I think that I have somehow portrayed to people that I am not affected. I don't know if that's it. That maybe I'm stronger than I am, or that I'm more resilient than I am. People's comments that are their understanding or their feedback, and I don't know how to say it. I'm just affected. I'm affected by people's comments. I'm affected by what you think. As much as I wish I wasn't, I am. I'm affected by that stuff. So when you're leaving comments on people's pages that are putting themselves out there, like we are, I'm putting my life on video and I'm sharing it with everyone. And that's vulnerable and that's a risk. And so be aware of that when you leave a comment, if you should choose to leave a comment.